Yo, yo, yo.
What up?
Welcome, everybody. AFAB Fam. Good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time you may be watching. Hello, hola, bienvenidos, all of that good stuff. Hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas holiday. Hopefully, everybody's gearing up for an awesome new year coming up here shortly. But we are here to talk some Cowboys today. How you doing this
Yeah,
evening,
boy.
Ty?
Feeling good. Ate a little bit too much, but
Yeah, I didn't think we was gonna get you off the couch. I thought I was gonna be running solo again tonight.
yeah. Well, I was gonna kind of segue into like how the Cowboys ate so much,
Oh,
so like
oh, oh,
maybe
oh!
they
I'm
were,
sorry. I'm
but
sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
that's
I'm sorry.
okay. Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
sorry.
Nope, we're asleep on the couch.
What up, Coop? Coop in here bright and early. Said, "What's
What up,
up?
big coop?
What's up, Coop? My guy." So real quickly, we are gonna, we're gonna highlight the Cowboys win against the Redskins a little bit. Then we got a couple really nice discussion topics to get into. But before we really jump into the full show here, um, I do just want to take a minute. I assume that probably just about every NFL fan out there, sports fan, anybody not living under a rock probably saw the news just a few days ago that a true football legend, John Madden, passed away this week. A man that, a lot of people might argue that has done more for the game of football than just about anybody, right? The way he, coached, the way he revolutionized the broadcast game. Obviously, everybody knows him from the Madden video game franchise, but even little tidbits, right? There was a lot of stuff that I was hearing just on the radio, stuff like that, reading in articles this week, about him, like even little stuff that you don't even think about, right? Like the first down marker, the little yellow line. That's John Madden. He used to draw it on his little teleprompter during broadcasts and finally convinced the network to put it on there. He's the reason Fox is on the map when it comes to NFL at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really just a legend all across. He's a Hall of Famer as a coach, but it could be a Hall of Famer as a broadcaster, could be a Hall of Famer as a contributor just for the work with the Madden franchise. Just a big loss for the NFL community. And just wanted to say a few words there. Ty, you a little bit older than me, man. You might have some more early memories of Madden, whether it be from the game or broadcast. What kind of impact did that have on you this week, man?
Yeah. R.I.P. Madden. He's just it's the broadcasting. A lot of when I went back and looked at a lot of the clips on Twitter and social media, um, where it was like some of his just quirkiness in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that I don't know, man. He had such a way with words. He was so like happy. He was like genuinely excited, like it was his first time, watching the game every time he was calling it. But he was so in depth with the knowledge, but the way he explained it was just so simple and relatable. Um, I mean, he really was great. It's kind of one of those things you grow up with it and think that's just how it is. And you kind of realize that you grew up with the greatness and the legend. So, um, he touched. I think it just speaks to how important he was. Pretty much everybody, poured out their respects and talked about how great he was. So, yeah, he was definitely a big impact. And I mean, I remember those early Madden games, and
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, it just everybody in the house trying to. We had like a little notepad writing down like the drills so we could like
For sure,
try to
right.
remember them while we were playing the game. Um, I mean,
Man,
it was just
the
it's
early,
endless.
like the mid to late 90s Madden games are actually the reason that I'm a Cowboys fan.
Hmm.
Right? Because, I grew up in Nebraska. There's not really a hometown team there. And those mid 90s Cowboys, I mean, that's who you wanted to play with on Madden, right? You wanted Aikman, Emmett, Irvin.
Yeah.
So, that's always cool to that piece is cool to me, right? That may not be like a direct, impact of John Madden on my life, but I mean, really, in a lot of ways, the reason that I'm sitting here sporting this Cowboys hoodie talking to y'all after a Cowboys, game day win is because of the Madden video game, right?
I
Those are
mean,
some of my earliest football
he
memories.
narrated
Right,
the great Super Bowl runs, for the Cowboys. So if you are, a mid '90s Cowboys fan, you have definitely heard him calling, some of the best moments in the team's history. So
for sure.
Troy Aikman kind of mentioned how he was very fortunate to have him narrate his career,
Yeah,
and elevate him. So I mean,
no,
absolute
absolutely.
titan.
So just wanted to get through that. We'll get off the somber note, and a good healthy segue off of that somber note comes from Miss Sweeta in here. And I guess, I don't know if maybe we just need to have this discussion in the chat. Y'all can discuss amongst yourselves. Sweeta's not a fan of the sunglasses. Well, I think she's talking to me. I guess you're wearing glasses too. So maybe she doesn't like the glare
I
on your
mean,
lenses.
we
She
know
can't
she's not talking to
possibly,
me.
she can't possibly
You
dislike
know
my
she's not
glasses.
talking to me.
She can't possibly dislike these, bro.
And
They're
you know
mirror
she's not talking
reflective.
to me.
We style pointing a Cowboys win. We got to be ready, bro.
You
Even
know who
even
she's talking to.
Coop seen the fit beforehand, and he was like, "Yo, that fit," like Coop was on it, bro. So Coop, you better come to
Oh
my
my
defense in the chat now,
god.
because you already told me.
Oh my god.
But just to backtrack on a couple of these comments, happy holidays, Coop, Daniel, and yeah, Daniel, the all Madden teams, right? Those were fun back in the day where you could play with those all Madden squads, for sure. But cool. Let's talk some Cowboys, man. And the reason that I got the shades on is because we're gonna style point this win against the Washington
I
football
don't know.
team.
Now I feel like the glasses feel they feel ridiculous, but let's go.
Coop, right there, bro. Drip too fresh, right?
Oh god, you're enabling it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
We dripping, bro. Come on. But yeah, we're gonna style point this win, bro, because we've talked about this phrase style pointing a lot the last month or so, and usually it's used more in a derogatory way because there's some cynical fans out there who would rather focus on, oh, the offense hasn't done this or they haven't done that, versus the idea that we didn't lose a game in December. We won 3 straight games on the road, and we have arguably the best defense in the league. We don't want to talk about that, right? We just want to talk about the offense, the problems with the offense. So I'm going to style point this win in a good way. Oh, hang on. Coop has one more thought here. What he say? What he say? Only thing that was ridiculous was 42 points and a half. Yeah, so right. Yeah, it was absurd, man. 42. Coop's helping me. Appreciate you, bro. You can stick
Yeah,
around.
I'm good.
He knows Seattle ain't doing it this year, so he jumping on the Dak bandwagon with me, I think, but I appreciate it. But so yeah, 56 total points in the game. Start right there. So we win the game 56-14. 56 points in the game is the most points scored by any team in the NFL so far this year. So say whatever you want about the Washingtons not having a good team and being down because of COVID or injuries or whatever. There's a lot of good teams in the league that have played a lot of bad teams this year. None of them have put up 56. Talk about from a Cowboys record perspective, that's the most points we've scored since 1980. 1980, 40 years since we had a 56-point game. I think it's 93 since we had a 50-point game. So again, there's been a lot of good Cowboys teams that have played a lot of bad teams. They haven't put up 56 points. None of them. Third most points in history overall, 42 points to Josh's point there is tied for the most points in NFL history and a half. So again, number one in NFL history. And then just a really cool stat. I think we talked about this. I know we've talked about it off air. I don't know how much we've highlighted it actually on the show, but we kind of had been keeping track of all the different individuals that have scored touchdowns, right? Whether it be on the offensive or defensive end. And up until last week, we had 16 different individuals, either, like I said, catching the ball, rushing the ball, punt block touchdowns, intercept, whatever it may be, right? And 16 different players have found the end zone this season, which was one away from a Cowboys franchise record. On Sunday, we had 3 different individuals that hadn't scored yet score in that game. You had DeMarcus Lawrence with the pick 6. You had freaking Terrence Steele with the block and release, the check and release tight end touchdown in the quarter from your big left tackle. You had the Chauncey Golston off of Corey Clement's punt block taken in for a touchdown. So now we're up to 19 different players on this season that have found the end zone, which is, as I just said, a Cowboys franchise record. And we're now 2 away from the all-time record. So we get 2 more players to score a touchdown. We get the all-time record. And you got to think, right? We got guys like Micah hasn't scored a touchdown this year. Randy Gregory hasn't scored a touchdown this year. J-Ron Kearse hasn't scored. There's a handful of guys. I still think Connor McGovern might get that. I know we saw it last week with Terrence Steele, but I still think Connor McGovern, that dude lines up at fullback way too much for them to not throw him one. They tried it a couple weeks ago. It just wasn't open. So I think that there's a very legitimate possibility, one of any 4 or 5 guys, or I guess 2 of any 4 or 5 guys could get in that end zone and we get that franchise record. So little bit of style pointing. Yeah, Daniel, I have actually thought about like some of the ridiculous things that we could do on offense just because if we wanted to, like I kind of want to see like a bunch formation with Trayvon Diggs and Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb or something like that. Yeah, give me a bunch with Diggs, Diggs stacked high with Cooper CD on his outside. And let me see what happens, give me Micah Parsons with Zeke lined up at fullback or something, let's just see what happens. Yeah, I'm here for all of that, actually, especially if it means we're getting a touchdown. Please let Micah Parsons play tight end or something. That would be great. Couple more style point pieces, and at this point in the show, I do need to call to attention our new co-host. This is Bobblehead Dak, everybody, if you can't see him very well. He's right down here at my mic. Bobblehead Dak's going to be hanging out with us for the rest of the season. He may not always be right here. We'll see. This is anything for a bit, so we make a new bit, and we may just play Where's Dak every week and see if we can find him, and I'll give you all a high five in the chat if you do. But he's right here this week. Yeah, right. Big prizes.
Yeah, I was like, a high five.
Super heavy incentives to find Dakota every week.
Okay.
But we could find Dakota on Sunday. We absolutely could find Dakota on Sunday because that man was slanging. 321 first half yards from my guy. 4 first half touchdowns from my guy. The 321 yards in the first half, the most by any quarterback this season. Do you know who was the most before Dak this year in the first half?
No, I'm not even gonna pretend.
Yeah, you won't get it if you don't know it. Yeah, you won't get it if you don't know it. It's Joe Burrow. He had, I think he had 291 in the first half of a game, and the game that he did that in was last week. Burrow,
his 500-yard performance
against the Ravens. Yeah, he had 200. I think it was 291 in the first half, which was the most in the league this year. And then 6 hours later, Dak threw for 321.
Up at the end of the year.
Yeah, Burrow is, man. The Bengals. That's a good looking team. I don't know if they're a serious threat this year, but it's a good looking team for sure. But yeah, so 321 yards. What Daniel got to say? You better be careful, bro. I'm feeling good tonight. Dak showed up this week. I don't like the way he said this week.
Well, first of all, that is a lie to text, and somehow you put a lot of emphasis on this week.
Oh, how would you,
you could Dak?
How do you think he said it?
Dak showed up this week. I think he's just saying it like it's good. Hey, he showed up this week. I don't disagree with that, man. Dude,
I don't either. I don't either.
Struggling.
I don't either. Dak hadn't been playing like he was the first 6-7 weeks of the season. He hadn't. I'll defend my guy till I'm blue in the face, but he hadn't. I mean, we've said that. I've said
with
that,
a line of text.
I know,
no
right?
reason,
right? For this reason, Tyler.
God.
4 on my chest, baby, all day long.
Yeah,
4 all day long. 4 in my heart. Yeah. Daniel said Tyler's right, like always. See, I'm not even going to click on that. We're not going to highlight that.
Yeah, well,
if you in the chat, you can read that.
That's okay.
Yep. Just find it very hard to acknowledge that I'm wrong about anything. So if y'all haven't figured that out yet, you haven't been paying attention for 16 weeks. But another quick stat about him, he's also the second quarterback ever, first in the regular season, to throw a touchdown to a wide receiver, a running back, a tight end, and an offensive lineman in the same game. This dude threw a touchdown to every position group on the offense. The only thing that would have been cooler is if we could have got like a D lineman in there, like you said, like a Micah, right? Or D-Law, coming to block, and then he breaks out for a touchdown. That would have been the only thing better is if we could have added like a D lineman or something like that in there. But man, it was a phenomenal game. Dak was on point. The offense was on point. They balled out. Just a slew of historical facts that nobody but me cares about, but everybody likes a style point the other way, so I style pointed this way. Daniel said Dak threw the touchdown cycle. Yeah, I mean,
like it.
That's exactly what he did. I mean, honestly,
he
really did. He hit every single position group on the offense. So just a few quick defensive notes, and then we'll get into our discussion pieces here. Of course, Diggs ties the Cowboy interception record, a 40-year-old record.
Y'all tried my boy off top.
The first play.
Stop it.
First play.
Stop it.
And Trayvon, we were talking about this earlier. If y'all rewatch the play, Trayvon never even looks at Terry McLaurin. That's one of the best route runners in the league. He doesn't even look at him. All he does is drop into his coverage and watch Taylor Heineke.
There was some audio, and I mean, we can talk about it a little more in depth later, but there was some audio this week about, Micah saying you had to earn your animal card. And
Micah's animal analogies are great.
He was saying that Trey, he told Trey that he's the eagle because only eagles fly at that altitude. Nobody else can soar up there. And I'm kind of with it, man. Eyeball the prey. And on that pick, I bring it up because on that pick, man, I mean, he looks in the backfield and it's like he literally
never looks away.
Never looks away. And it just was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this, and just calmly runs down the ball.
I mean, he intercepted the ball before Heineke threw it.
The confidence is off the chart. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So, he gets the Cowboys record there, one more, and he'll break the Cowboys record. D-Law gets a pick 6, which was just ridiculous. Block punt touchdown we already talked about with Corey Clement and Chauncey Golston. And overall, the defense had 5 sacks on the day. So again, I mean, this is 4 weeks in a row, and say what you want about we haven't played the best offenses. I don't care. They're dominating.
There's a lot of obscure stats that came out of that beatdown.
Man.
And I mean, it's, that's what
Would you call it a shellacking?
Sure.
I like that term.
Term.
Shellacking.
But, that last part where you talk about the block punt TD and some of the defensive touchdowns, to get all 3 phases to score in a game,
right,
is ridiculous, right? Getting the offense and defensive touchdowns typically turns into victory for you, but to have that special teams, be so potent this year. Again, I had mentioned it earlier, maybe not on the show, but when we were talking earlier in the year that typically when it's punt time or special teams time, you take a look away, you go on Twitter, something like that. I watch the special team snaps because I feel like they are really intently focused on making impact plays in special teams this year. So that, when you talk about things that are very good going forward in the playoffs, those things matter. Like, having, being able to generate points, even when the offense isn't on the field, it's huge. So this team is very scary.
Terrifying. And just a couple more terrifying things. And I want to segue this right into the playoff discussion here. But just to kind of set the table and look at, where the Cowboys might rank right now. When we look at Super Bowl contenders, we look at the NFC contenders. I just want everybody to just soak in a couple things here really quickly, especially, all of these individuals that may or may not have been super concerned about the offense over the last month and a half. In spite of the offensive struggles, the Cowboys are still the number 1 ranked offense in yards per game at 409 yards per game. Number 1. And they are still the number 1 ranked offense in points per game at
Mm-hmm.
30.5 points per game. So, style point all you want, be concerned all you want. Even with a 5-6 week lull, this is still the best offense in the league, which is just disgusting. And on the defensive side, number one team in the league in takeaways, highest turnover percentage in the league, best third down percentage in the league.
I'm
Only,
sure the aren't they the top two in or the number one team in the opponent's drives that end in a turnover?
yeah, I'd say the highest
Yeah, the
turnover rate. That's what
percentage.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the highest percentage of drives ending in
Mm-hmm.
turnovers. Third down percentage, only 31% conversion rate on third down all season is
Mm-hmm.
number one in the league.
Number
Um,
one meme god with Randy Gregory.
My guy, man, he just like rolling over, saying what's up to Taylor Heineke. How's it going, man? Kick my legs up, man. What are you doing,
Yeah.
Randy? Get up, bro. That dude kills me.
Like that should
Um,
be taunting, but it's too good.
I know, right? Like, how did they not throw a flag? But I really appreciate that they didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many analytical numbers that you look at this team and they're 1, 2, 3 in the league, right? The shortest time of possession per drive of anybody in the league. So
Mm-hmm.
teams hold the ball for a shorter amount of time versus the Cowboys than anybody else on a per drive basis. Teams run the least amount of plays per drive in the league against the Cowboys. And only two teams allow fewer points per drive than the Cowboys this year. So the defense has just been outstanding. I mean, it's an analytical nightmare, right? Like on paper, off paper, wherever you want to take it, the defense is disgusting. And talking about that mixed in with what might be an offense coming back into form, let's talk about that updated playoff picture a little bit. So the Cowboys are still the 2 seed after this week, right?
Right.
Behind Green Bay. Rams actually moved into the 3 seed with their win. And then you've got Tampa Bay at the 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
We still have the same record as Tampa Bay and as LA. But as I talked about last week on the show, given the tiebreakers, we love a 3-way tie. Cowboys are going to win every 3-way tie because they have the best division record and the best conference
Best
record
conference.
of any
Yeah.
team.
Mm-hmm.
So we love the 3-way tiebreaker. We don't want a head-to-head with Tampa, right? We really want
Right.
LA to win out. We want to win out. We want LA to win out. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want that, right? I think if it's just us and the Rams, we still get it because there was no head-to-head. So then it goes to
That's
division or
right.
conference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
The
same thing with
only
the
the
Packers.
I was looking at that. The only way we drop is if us and Tampa Bay end up in a tie at the
Right,
end of the year.
right, exactly. Um, So it's looking really good. I don't know that the Packers are going to lose. I mean, they still have the Vikings and the Lions. The Lions have beat
Yeah.
the spread almost every week. So I guess, who knows, even though I wouldn't count on that. And the Vikings, I mean, they're certainly a team that can win a game at any given
Right.
time,
That's what I
right?
was about to say. If it's anything that's going to happen, let's go Vikings. To beat
Right,
the Packers.
right.
And I mean, God, it looked like the Browns were going to beat them.
It looked like the Ravens were going to beat them
Yeah,
without Lamar Jackson.
they tried. It feels like the Browns or the Packers were trying to give that game away
But you
to
know
the
what? I'm
Browns.
not going to be hypocritical and style point their win just because they're not my team, right? They still came away with 2 wins the last 2 weeks,
Oh
out
yeah,
of whatever circumstances, and they're still the number 1 seed in the league. They still have a solid defense. The offense isn't like super explosive, but they have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Adam Jones.
no,
So
it's the
or Aaron Jones. I'm
execution
sorry.
on the Packers offense.
Hmm.
It's not
Right? They're
that they're
not blowing up
so
chunk plays. It's not the Chiefs.
yeah.
You know?
It's just the execution. It's
But the
ridiculous.
defense is really good though. Has been all year. So I think that they're still
Not the
probably
run
going to be the
defense.
1 seed. Well, yeah, they're probably still going to be the 1 seed. I think you got a really good chance. We take care of business in Arizona this week or against Arizona games here this week. We got a really good chance to hold on to that 2 seed,
Yeah,
which basically means we're playing Philly or Minnesota or New Orleans, like one of those teams, right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
get to avoid the Cardinals or Rams. Looks like it's probably going to be the Cardinals. I get to avoid the Cardinals in the first round. Um, and I probably get to avoid a team like the 49ers too. Not that I am super scared of the 49ers, but I still would. I
Yeah,
mean, I'd rather play, Minnesota or Philly than the 49ers. Because I think they're a better coach team and they have a better defense than those other teams. And if you let them run the ball, they will run you to death. And Jimmy G will throw one touchdown at the end that is the only thing that matters, even though he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, I don't mind playing the 49ers, but I would rather play a team like the Eagles or the Saints in that first round or the Vikings. Where do you rank the Cowboys in the NFL right now? Like if you're talking top teams, who are the top tier contenders? Who's the best team in the league? Give
So
me a super quick, like 1 through 5.
if I remember correctly, the Cowboys have the 5th best odds right now to
I
win
think
the
they're
Super Bowl.
four. I think they're fourth. I think it was them, Tampa, Kansas City, and Buffalo. Actually,
I think they've got Packers, Bucks, Chiefs, and Bills above
maybe the Packers are above them
the
too.
Super Bowl odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're real close. The
Mm-hmm.
Bills are like 17-2, and the Cowboys are like 19-2, something in that range. It's not a big difference between 4 and 5.
Are the Bills better than the Cowboys?
I don't think the Bills are better than the Cowboys, though.
Good.
Right?
We might have had to fight. Might have had to fight.
Really, I mean, I'm not convinced that anyone is definitively better than the Cowboys because slight advantages that you would give on offense at the quarterback position on some of those top teams, depending on your flavor of what you like. I think people, give the edge offensively to the Packers and the Chiefs because of Mahomes and Rodgers. The Bucks are a little too hurt on offense, I think, to give them an advantage, but it's the completeness of the team. None of those other teams are complete like that. The Chiefs defense has been playing well. So I'll give
Has
them
been
credit.
playing very well.
The Bucks defense has their reputation, but again, injured. The Packers have been playing well on defense, but not so much as on the run. And that's not just lately; it's just over the season. They started out a little more stout against the run, but over time you saw you can run on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they get to the quarterback, so they kind of make up for it. But and then, like I mentioned earlier, right, the special teams, that totality, right, that gives me. I'm taking the Cowboys' chance, right, because all right, I'll give you whatever slight edge you want, to proclaim at the quarterback position. But when Dak is playing well, right, he doesn't have to throw for, the ridiculous numbers that he did against Washington. But the decision making, right, using his legs, right, to extend plays and just being a good distributor of the football. I give the edge to the Cowboys. They really are.
So you got the Cowboys won?
I'm gonna yeah. I think they're the best team. They're the most complete team.
I
Right?
think I'm pretty close to there. I mean, I said it on Facebook the other day. So when they play like this, they're the best team in the league, right? When they play up to their talent level on offense and they play the way that
Right.
they have been on defense, they're the best team in the league.
Right.
I think right now, just go through it super quickly for mine. I probably would go Kansas City 1 still right now. Then Cowboys 2, Packers 3, Bucks 4, Bills or Rams 5. I don't even know if the Bills would be in the top 5. I think it probably would be Rams 5. I know they went through their lull kind of midway through the season like we did, but they've been playing a lot better as of late. And I think that's the hard part for the Cowboys when you're projecting like a Super Bowl or NFC Championship possibility.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legitimate chance that 4 of the 5 best teams in the league are in the NFC right now. Like I think that's a legitimate case to make there that 4 of the 5 best teams in the NFL are in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see. But the Cowboys are in a good spot. They're looking good. They're looking like they got a really good chance to hold on to that 2 seed as long as we do our thing against Arizona this week. And man, wouldn't that be a welcome sight? Talking a little bit more about this offense, though, man, I got a question for you. And I'm just going to ask the question, and then I'll throw out my little factoids and my thoughts. But after, given what we saw this last week in Washington, can we say that Dak and this offense are back?
Simply, yes. I mean, we wanted, and I kind of been back and forth about this myself, because while there were definitely some opportunities, right, to play better on offense, um, they have been you can't deny that they've been underachieving, on that side of the ball. Um, when you say, are they back? Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest the biggest difference off top. I mean, it was so apparent first 5-6 minutes of the game. You were like, man, that play call was excellent. Holy crap. Look at
Mm-hmm.
that play design.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, they got Zeke so open on that on that pass. Holy crap. They're feeding the ball to Amari. And I mean, were they forcing it? Sure, but like, he was open.
Man, I
Um
called that. I told y'all. I
uh,
told everybody. I said it on Facebook. I text you. I listened to that interview on the Fan, and Amari was like, "Yeah, I'm frustrated. I need the ball in third down and in the red zone." And what did he do? Catch a touchdown and like 2 or 3 thirds for first down at the
yeah.
beginning of the game.
I just yeah, are they back? Yeah, they're executing better. The the play calls were definitely better. If I saw people that were like, "Oh yeah, of course they were holding back," see, Kellen wasn't calling these play. I'm like, okay, I still don't believe that they
Right.
were
We let
just.
it unleash on the Taylor Heineke
Yeah,
Washingtons, right?
right.
Like,
Like,
come
this
on,
is
bro.
this is the time. Unleash the Kraken.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
right. Like, let's do
I'm
it
I'm
right
I'm not
now.
with that
Not next
school
week
of
against
thought.
Arizona. Let's do it
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
not with that school of thought. But
No.
there was better coaching, better play calling, and it's too much talent on that team that, if you put them in the right position, that's baby food, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you asking a quarterback that was playing at an MVP level the first 7 weeks of the season to make these, very easy reads, or the play design was so great that, hey, 1, 2, okay, let me get out, and I know I
Mm-hmm.
got space here. Yeah. So are they back? Yeah. Now, is it just oh yeah, we can drop back 40 times a game and Dak can just carve everybody up? No, that's not, in the sense of, are they back that way? No, I don't think that's the recipe.
Not if
You
teams
just
are going to keep giving you cover like too high looks, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're going to keep dropping 7, like, no, I don't want Dak to throw the ball
Mhm.
40 times. I don't want Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball 40 times.
Right. And I
Not
think
against
that's
those looks.
just kind of like the Chiefs, right? When they were slumping, and
Right.
they had to make that adjustment. It started with their play calling and their scheme, and like,
Right.
okay, what's the defense, doing to us, and what are we going to design,
Right.
better? And it took a couple weeks, and maybe
Mhm.
uh I think behind the scenes, just as far as like, is the offense back, right? One of the things that they were bringing up on a lot of sports talk was, you know, is McCarthy, responsible for anything? Is he doing anything right? And I think
He's a
one of the
CEO, bro. Leave him alone.
well, I think one of the things is like, that, like, we've learned, right, in our lives, right, the business lives and stuff, like, leadership isn't something that really gets talked about until like the absence of it, right? Then that's everything that gets mentioned.
Mhm.
And you have to start looking at it and saying, hold on, man, this team, even when they're struggling, they were finding ways to win.
Right.
That there is a certain identity that they have, and there's a certain confidence that they play with, that, come on, man, like, you gotta I started thinking to myself, I'm like, that is what I'm looking at as far as like, when you say, are they back? I feel like that's a great quality about them is like they sat down, and I feel like that's something that McCarthy is bringing to the table, where he's getting all those guys together and getting them on the same page. Like, okay, this is what we're gonna be looking for, and then empowering the people around him to be like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the goal. What are we gonna do to get there? Right? Like, I don't have to
Right.
have all the answers. And then like just that kind of like that egoless leadership too. Because remember, they brought up McCarthy went to the Super Bowl, called his own plays, to win the championship, was
Mm-hmm.
successful a long time. Kellen Moore's
Mm-hmm.
a pup, in NFL coaching, speak. He could easily go in there and with the struggles, meddle with everything and be like, oh,
Right.
well, I'm taking over. I'm doing that. You haven't even heard like one peep of
Nah,
anything
let
of
him
that
figure it
nature,
out.
right?
We trust our guys.
So are they back? Yeah, but I think it's the steadiness of the leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you starting to see that come out. That's why you saw even when they were struggling, they found ways to win, right? So I do believe they're back on track, but I think it's gonna get even better because they just they know who they are, they know their identity, and I think the team, they've always felt it was special this season, but the confidence is growing. They can really feel that this is something special. Their opportunity is here. I think it's just going to be, all fireworks going into the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Juan, I didn't forget about you. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let him do it. I'm going to let him
The
do it
Juan Diaz
because he
index,
just keep going, bro. Because I told him he jumped on my halftime
top 11,
speech last week. I told him I'm gonna lock the door to the bandwagon.
top 11.
I told him I'm locking the doors. He can't get on. When me and Dakota, when me and Bobblehead Dak go to the promised land, you can't come, Juan. Say, no, you
We'll
can't
let you
come.
watch the parade from the
You
other side of
can't
the street.
come. No. Right? So
Oh,
that's what I
man.
think about that. Daniel actually has, a good point to make. This coaching staff has to be a huge part. OC and DC could easily be head coaches. Hold on to that thought, Daniel. We're going to get to some Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn discussion here in just a bit. Juan, I could have hit those receivers.
Yeah, oh, gee. Okay. All right.
Again, man, and me and Juan were having this discussion on Facebook during the game. Man, if the strategy is to scheme a player open and then for my quarterback to hit the open man, I am perfectly okay with that. Please employ that offense every week. That's
I could
cool.
have hit those receivers.
That's
I mean,
fine.
fine.
I want
So
my
I don't
receivers
get
to
it.
have 20 yards of separation, bro.
Are we implying that?
That can only be good if his receivers suck and they don't get any separation and they have to make contested catches every time and he
Right,
has
and
to
he
put the
has
ball
to.
on a dime or else he
Right,
sucks or else he's
or
terrible.
yeah,
Tyreek Hill's never open. He's the fastest player on the field. He's never open.
okay.
Travis Kelce's never open. Devontae Adams is never open. Give me a freaking break, bro. I don't even want to talk about the other stuff. The offense is back. Deal with it. Get on the bus. Get off the bus. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Tyler, I'm going to ask you to do some ranking for me here.
Okay. What we
And
got?
the answer,
Who's the best player on defense, Micah? Okay, go ahead.
the question that I need an answer to
No, I got
is who's the best player on this defense? But what I would like you to do before you
Okay.
jump ahead, sir,
Okay.
I would like you to rank these 4 players. But
Okay.
first, we're going to let Coop tell Juan to relax. Or he's going to tell me to relax. They beat a team that doesn't have a name or a mascot. I'm saying it now. If Rams and
Coop,
Cowboys
come on.
meet in the
I'd read
playoffs,
it.
boys will lose, bro.
Coop, come on, bro. I mean,
we already
listen.
talked about this. They put up more points than anybody in the league this year. And there's been a lot of good teams that have played a lot of bad teams. I do not care how bad Washington is.
Listen, this ain't the
don't
BC.
care.
Listen, this ain't the college football playoff, bro.
Nah, bro.
We don't care how you win. Okay, like the wins are wins. Okay.
Cowboys have 11 wins. There's nothing you can do about it.
the caliber of opponent, bro, you got to play who you play. They don't shoot. They're not going into week 15 and being like, "Ooh, crap, let's play a sorry team this week." Um, I don't really get what you're saying there. You want to diminish the opponent so that the Cowboys, I guess, don't seem as good. I mean, okay,
He's doing the same thing that I've
throw
done.
out,
He's doing the same thing I've done to Tom Brady his whole career,
okay,
right?
throw out
Because
that win.
yeah,
Okay, throw it out.
we still got 10 more.
I mean, whatever.
We still got 10 more.
Throw it out then.
Tyler, who's the best player on this defense? Rank them 1 through 4, starting with Micah, as you've already told us.
Of course.
Then you've got Trayvon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Then DeMarcus Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And then Randy Gregory.
1
through 4. To me, those are the 4 best players on this team. If you have somebody else that you would like to be in that conversation, feel free. But those are the 4 best players on this team to me. 4 best defensive players on this team.
I'd like to throw honorable mention for Jaron Curse.
Yo, Coop, the Bengals are really good, bro. What are you talking about? Absolutely, they get credit for Joe Burrow throwing for 500 yards because that doesn't happen. It's the most yards in the league this year. Coop just put a message in here.
An accident waiting to happen. Okay, all right, bet. Go to the back to the school. Stephen A. Smith. Coop is good.
Hey man, call me Seattle has more than 6 wins.
Yeah. No, it's good. Look, Micah, by every statistic, advanced metric, whatever, is beyond impact. Saying he's impactful almost feels like an understatement. He is absolutely dominating on the defensive side of the ball. His production levels and what he does, I mean, it would take multiple players. I said it earlier this season, to take multiple players to replace what he does. Okay. That's not to diminish who I think is number 2, Mr. Diggs. But I'll give you some honorable mention, right? As far as maybe that gap isn't as big as it sounds, because when you talk about Trayvon, you're talking about someone who's not giving up touchdowns and turning over the ball at an unbelievable rate, right? A historic rate,
right?
And they were bringing up a point. I told you earlier that Mickey Spagnuolo and Michael Irvin were kind of agreeing on that. It's not like Revis Island or something where people are just refusing to throw in Diggs' direction, and they don't think it's going to stop, right? Because again, the kind of the take, right, is that he gonna give up some yards, so we still gonna throw at him. Well, like,
go for it.
Have
buddy.
you seen
go for it?
You seen hunters like play with their food a little bit?
Go for it,
right? Like you see the cat like kind of toy with something before he kills it, right?
Because your 30-yard gain that you get off the time that he gambled and missed is not as crucial as the interception that he gets the next time down the field.
Well, I mean, it's just in context, right? Like if he was giving up the touchdowns, right, at the same clip, right, like even, or maybe just a little more than he was taking the ball away, then I think you could at least raise the argument of, okay, well, he's taking the ball away, but he's giving it back just as much, right? No, he is truly an impact player, right? And you can't afford to not throw his direction because he's covering your best receiver, and it's a pass happy league. Nobody's game plan is like, oh, we're just not gonna throw at him anymore. Even if you're trying to be cautious, you're still gonna target him 6 to 8 times a game, and he's showing you that that's about all he needs to force a turnover. Okay, so my guy is ridiculous. Now,
so that's 1 and 2. You got Michael 1, Diggs 2. We got Randy and D-Law.
Listen, it's ridiculous. It speaks to how great the defense is playing that Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, and think about how good they are,
right?
And some of the freakish plays we've seen them make over the last couple of weeks. Both of them quarterback pressures in the run game, batting balls in the air and getting
Hey, hold
interceptions
on.
on the D line.
You got to call out from our guy Julio. First time he been in the chat. 5,000
Hey,
watts.
my man.
Diggs
Yeah,
is a
Diggs is a
bad
bad
man, bro.
man.
He
That's
is.
so
He
true.
is.
Um,
My apologies. My
no, no, no.
apologies. Carry on.
We always want to hear from Julio. But yeah, man. I mean, eh, DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm gonna put D Law over Gregory just a bit, right? Because I think D Law, as far as like setting the edge and playing in the run game, is a little bit more effective. You see, kind of Gregory. I think as far as like being around that influence, you see kind of Gregory taking some notes out of that book and playing that run aggressively and making sure that they get those stops on the edge. But those guys, think about how good those guys are and how
Mm-hmm.
great J-Ron has been this year as a tackler and a playmaker. And, those guys are, 3, 4, 5, on the list. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just ridiculous. Now, I'll say, like, maybe if you want to say in this last couple stretch, maybe you could put D-Law, tied with Diggs. Maybe. But it's ridiculous, man. I just think that Micah and Trayvon have come in and made impact plays, right? Like not just, oh, they didn't give up some yards or oh, he got a sack here. It's the timeliness of it. And like I said, just how effective it is. It stops drives or puts points on the board for the team. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Daniel showing J-Ron Curse a little bit of love in there as
Yeah,
well.
man.
Yeah, like I said, I think if you wanted to take that 1 through 5, I got no problem slotting J-Ron there as
Mm-hmm.
your fifth best player on defense. That'd probably be the direction I go. I mean, it's the leading tackler on your team. Got a
Mm-hmm.
career high in interceptions. He can rush off the edge a little bit if you need him to. I mean, that dude has been an absolute weapon in this
Yeah,
offense.
yeah.
Okay, so you went Micah, Diggs, D-Law, and Randy.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Not a lot
really,
of separation between some of those two.
I really, really hate that I did this to myself.
Why?
Cause I hate the discussion between Micah and Diggs. Cause I keep going back and forth. I can't decide. I really can't. And I think for me, that discussion is a lot closer than it is for most people. Right. When I asked you the question, you were like, oh, easy, right off top, it's Micah. Right. And I think I am leaning Micah as well. But man, is close, right? It just when you look at what Trayvon Diggs has done this year, he has literally done something that hasn't been done in 40 years.
I mean, Mike has done stuff that hasn't ever been done. Ever.
We're getting
Okay.
there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're
So,
getting there. We're getting there. But he doesn't have more sacks than anybody in the last 40 years. Doesn't
okay.
have more pressures, more tackles for losses, more tackles. When you look at a cornerback, arguably their most important stat is their interception. Other than, like analytic stats, right? Obviously coverage rate, passer rating, stuff like that might be a little bit more important to
My
some
only
people.
hold on. Your caveat, he hasn't had more sacks than anyone ever. I wonder if you gave him a Myles Garrett pass rush load, what that'd look like, but we can only speculate.
Yeah, the win rate is ridiculous. I'm not going to argue that with you there. Are me and Juan in agreement on something? Hold, please. He must have put the little Pac-Man guy the wrong way there. There's no way he's on my side here. Said Diggs is better than Parsons right now. And I don't know. I do. I think I'm leaning Parsons more as the season goes along, but it's not because of his pass rush ability. It's not. He is a phenomenal pass rusher. He's one of the best in the league. Probably he's the best on the team. I think he's better than Randy at this point, even though Randy's been phenomenal. But it's because of everything else that he can do, right? We talked about earlier today, you and I were discussing it, and I just kind of framed this thought as there's an argument to be made that he's the best pass rusher on my team, right? And that's with a guy like Randy Gregory on my team.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legitimate argument to be made that he's the best run defender on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's with DeMarcus Lawrence on the team, who's been one of the best run defenders in the NFL for a half decade, right? And outside of my secondary, he's the best coverage guy on my team. I mean, he rushes inside, outside. He can play middle linebacker, outside linebacker. It's at times in games, most recently it's been Jaron Kearse, but at times in games, he's got the green dot. He's the helmet. He's the quarterback of the defense calling the plays. And he is the only dude that I have ever seen in my life that can do all of those things and go split out at corner, see a pick play happening in man coverage, and go cover the other dude's man because he saw him get picked on a wheel route. That play against the Giants should have been a touchdown to Kenny Golladay. It should have been. It was a perfectly executed play call. The offense ran it the way they needed to. They took the slot corner out of the play. They ran the wheel underneath with Golladay. Micah Parsons was supposed to be standing there looking at a dude that just ran into another dude. That's what's supposed to happen on that play. Instead, he diagnoses, turns tail, and runs, catches up to Kenny Golladay, and bats the ball down. It's a touchdown. There's no safety help over the top. It's man coverage. So yeah, I just, it's not because of obviously that's the best thing that we've seen from him, and the most impactful thing has been his pass rush, but I'm not leaning towards Micah because of the pass rush. I'm leaning towards him because of literally everything else that he can do. And I've never seen a player do that, to your point, right? Talking about people doing historical things that have never happened. I've never seen a dude
that can people. It takes too many people to fill his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, he can be Von Miller, and he can be Cam Chancellor, and he can be Lawrence Taylor, and he can be Bobby Wagner. It's gross.
Now, Diggs is exceptional at picking the ball. I'm not suggesting that somebody else can just fill his shoes, because obviously we see the historic streak that he's on. I'm just saying it would take multiple players in multiple positions to reproduce what Mike is doing.
Right. No, and I agree. I do. So for me, it's more of a 1A, 1B. Yes, Diggs has given up the most yards, like you talked about, but only 4 touchdowns allowed to 11 picks. If I was just giving you a cornerback and the only thing I told you is, hey, this guy's going to have 7 more interceptions and he's going to give up touchdowns, do you want him on your team? Hell yeah, you want him on your team. I don't care what else he does. I don't care. He's going to have 7 more interceptions than scores that he gives up. I need that. He's on my team now.
In the modern NFL, I need corners who are going to take the ball. We begged for corners the last couple of years. We were begging for a corner to get to get takeaways, and now he's getting takeaways, but he's giving up yards. Please stop.
Right. So then after that, I'm gonna also go D-Law and then Randy. Am I gonna do that?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I was one of those guys that was like, oh, D-Law's gonna come back and he can be good.
Randy has just been so good. Those are the discussions that are fun, right? Like, I think this year there's a distinct separation between Micah Diggs and D-Law and Randy, right? But the fun discussion is Micah versus Diggs and Randy versus D-Law. Because just as like a pure pass rusher, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's played 10 games and has 26 quarterback hits. He's got 3 forced fumbles. He's got 6 sacks. He got a pick on that bat down.
Lawrence versatility showing off too.
And
the way that Justin Tuck got moved inside when they had OC and Strahan. Lawrence is showing that he has the IQ to play multiple positions and impact the game. He understands exactly what's happening, getting his hands up, disrupting passes. I mean, to get a pick from the D tackle position,
right?
Just come on, bro.
In a 4-game stretch since he's been back, 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Right, 4 games. That's ridiculous.
That's gross.
And I had seen, I heard a stat on the Fan the other day. They were saying he has 4 bat downs this year, I think, from the defensive line position. He had 6 for his whole career prior to this year. He's got 4 this year. That's that Dan Quinn magic sauce.
It's ridiculous, man.
All right, I'm going to roll through some of these chats real quick because it was kind of rolling through while we were talking. And then we're going to hit our final discussion point and boogie on out of here. Daniel, when we were talking about Micah and Diggs, said they help each other's stats. Yeah,
Absolutely.
right. I mean, you don't have coverage without the pass rush. You don't have coverage sacks without the coverage, right? Megan said Diggs did beat Micah at beer pong.
Hey, Micah bad
Hey,
competitive too.
hey,
Literally
right,
everything he does, he's trying to
right.
win.
This dude spent his offseason learning chess instead of playing video games like everybody else. Coop said Parsons for sure. True 5-tool player. Rush, run, coverage, set the edge,
Yeah,
secure.
man.
Yeah, right.
He's
I
got the
mean,
whole bag with
if
him.
there is a definition of a 5-tool player in football, Micah Parsons is that guy. And then he says, yeah, Daniel, exactly right. Helping each other's stats. DBs can sit on routes and trust the pass rush. Then on
Yeah,
third
and
and long.
I feel that. I've heard that a little bit, that the back
Mhm.
end is made easier, so by default, the DBs are, you know, just got a easier, job. But I mean, just marginally. We're talking about covering,
Mhm.
some of the most premier athletes in the world. And again, the rate at which Diggs is taking the ball away. Again, if he had like
Yeah,
4 or 5 picks, sure, good season, right? But like
right.
the rate, bro, it's
But 11.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and to that point, Megan called out he's only 3 away from Night Train Lane. Yeah, and
Mm.
that's where it's so hard, man. Like if
Talk
Diggs
about
gets
one
like
of the
15
best
interceptions,
nicknames in football
right.
history.
If
God.
Dig goes on a tear these last 2 weeks and gets like 3, 4 interceptions, ties the record, breaks the record, how is he not the best? Because he's done something that nobody's ever done. Ever. At one of the most important facets of the game and taking the ball away and getting extra possessions for your team. Yeah, and Juan continuing his argument, linebackers were supposed to be more productive. Diggs is getting the ball back and breaks up everything. I agree with that to a point, except that Micah isn't used like as a full off-ball linebacker, right? That's really the appeal with what Micah has done this year, and the awe factor of it is that he's played, however many snaps at off-ball linebacker. Then he's been down on the line. Then he's been inside rushing. Then he's been in the slot. He's played a couple snaps at safety. He's played like 30 snaps technically at the cornerback position this year, which isn't a lot, right? But that's 2 times per game your best edge rusher is playing corner. That's insane.
Yeah, one. I think
The versatility is
on
unmatched.
on the surface, I would agree with you. Linebackers supposed to be more productive. They're gonna have the gaudier numbers, this, that, and the other. It's when you take a look at the the advanced or per play stats with Micah, and you start to really understand like how special he is. You're talking about someone that's like it's different to say like, oh, he's good at everything, right? Like he is elite at literally everything that he's doing.
Everything that he does, he's
Okay,
the
like
best
when
at.
you're talking, like if you only let him rush the passer, he would be the best. If you only, asked him to be a run stopper, he would, probably set a tackle record, or a stops, or tackles for loss record.
Mhm.
If you, I don't know why you would, but if you put him in coverage most of the time, that would be someone you would avoid in coverage, right? Like it's just it's the level at which he is doing everything.
Mhm. He doesn't have
Um,
a mismatch anywhere on the field.
yeah, man.
And I love his mentality, right? To Daniel's point, he wants to win
Oh
like Jordan.
yeah,
He has the hunger. And that's what we were talking about that
he's so
earlier, right? All
cerebral, man.
all of his animal analogies, man,
He's so
lions got to
cerebral.
eat. What did he say? He said we're not going to get lazy like alligators after we eat. We got to
Mm-hmm.
we got to keep eating, right? We're not going to get
Mm-hmm.
complacent.
Mm-hmm.
Man, did you see what he said about they asked him in a press conference earlier this week what kind of animal Kyler Murray is.
He says he's a cheetah.
He said he's a cheetah. But did you
Uh-huh.
see what they said about, well, can you chase the cheetah or whatever?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he basically was like, he's like, well, look, the cheetah is the fastest animal in the animal kingdom. So, I don't know about that. But the thing about lions and lionesses is they hunt in a pack. So give me a pack of lions, and yeah, I'll take the lions over the cheetah.
I
Uh,
do feel that,
man,
Coop.
I love that analogy. That dude. What do you say? Coop says he's what I say Isaiah Simmons would be if the Cardinals weren't
I
idiots.
feel that. And
I mean,
again,
Isaiah Simmons is that kind of, yeah, he was kind
like
of that prototypical,
yeah,
hybrid player as well, for sure.
Like Daniel said, shout out to the coaching staff, because Dan
Yeah.
Quinn had the vision for these guys and unleashed them, So I mean, he's got to be put in position to be great. But no, I feel what you're saying there.
Great segue, Tyler. Let's talk about the coaching staff.
Whew.
Final discussion point of the night, and then we're going to boogie on out of here after this one. But this was one that, definitely an interesting topic that's kind of been talked about a lot throughout the year, but kind of picked up a little bit of steam again this week with the announcement that the Jacksonville Jaguars called the Cowboys to inquire about interviewing both Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn for their head coaching job next year. So to Daniel's point a little bit ago, either one of those guys could potentially be head coaches. Dan Quinn, of course, has already been a head coach.
Yeah.
So I ask you this question, and then we'll boogie after we finish this discussion. And I ask all of you in the chat who've been hanging around, talking a lot with us tonight. Really appreciate the conversation flow. You can only keep one. Who's it going to be, Kellen or DQ?
I want you to answer.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Thought I was going to have more time to think about this.
Okay.
As I'm the one that built the whole.
Yeah, I was like, get
right?
to your question.
Sorry, Dakota. I apologize, man. Good. Yeah, I hit him on accident. I didn't mean it.
Juan says DQ.
Juan say he keeping DQ. Yep, and I think Juan, we're gonna agree here as well.
Coop is in the Moore camp.
Ooh, Coop says Moore. Okay, so already a 50-50 split. That means it's a good discussion topic. Yes. Love divisive conversations. Yeah, it's Dan Quinn for me, though. And actually, this is probably easier than the who's the best defensive player conversation that we just had. And don't get me wrong, if I can keep both of them, let me have both of them, right? Like, I don't want either one of them to go. But for me, it's Dan Quinn that I have to prioritize if I can only keep one. Because, as Daniel is saying right there in the chat, right? Never seen a Cowboys defense like this. I don't ever remember a Cowboys defense like this, ever. You've got two players that are now not just top 5 in DPOY odds, but top 3. You got Micah tied with TJ Watt.
Oh, DPOY.
Odds. Right. And Trayvon Diggs sitting in the 3 spot, right now in Defensive Player of the Year odds. He's got career high interceptions from Trayvon Diggs, Jaron Kearse, not Javon Kearse. That would be super phenomenal if that happened. Jaron Kearse, Jordan Lewis, maybe Anthony Brown too, all career highs in interceptions out of the secondary. This Cowboys team did not have more than 10 interceptions for like 7 or 8 years in a row before this year. And you got a guy that has it by himself. Not to mention that we have like 20 total, 23 total, whatever it is. When you look at points per game, this defense is averaging almost 10 points less per game than what they were last year. That's a touchdown and a field goal less every game. I mean, it just, the way that people talk about him, right? What is Micah calls him the cool uncle, right? It just something seems to exude from Dan Quinn onto these players that just inspires them, right, to play at a different level. I think some of it is schematically. You talk about a guy who lost his head coaching job in Atlanta, took a little bit of time off, and came back running a completely different scheme. Dan Quinn has never run this much man in his career, ever, on a defensive unit. And he's running one of the best defenses in the league. I think top to bottom, Dan Quinn. And you guys know how much I love Kellen, right? I coined him the scheme god. I love Kellen Moore, and I think he's done a lot of great things. But I also think, you mentioned it earlier. I've got Mike McCarthy there, who's been a primary play caller for most of his career. I've got Doug Nussmeier, who's been in that system for a while with them, right? I've got people there. Even a guy like, if I absolutely had to, they've got, what's his name, that was with the Giants a couple years ago, the head coach with the terrible haircut. He's on the staff as well. Ben McAdoo.
Yeah.
Ben McAdoo's on the staff. He's been a primary play caller in the past. I just think that you have more guys that could step in, especially with a veteran quarterback who's going to be taking more charge of that offense as he grows anyway. We remember Tony Romo at the end of his career. He basically was the OC.
Right.
So yeah, DQ for me. Let's run through these couple chats and then I'll get your thoughts. Megan says, with this defense and the weapons we have on offense this year, Cowboys have no excuse. No excuse for what? We have to win the Super Bowl? You got to clarify that. No excuse for what? Because if it's like no excuse
Yeah,
to
you
make
know.
it to like
You know. It's
like no
championship round or bust, baby.
right, like no excuse to what? Because we just talked about, a little bit ago how 4 of the 5 best teams in the league might be in the NFC. So like if they're one of the 4 best teams in the NFC, is that good enough? Like if we're in the divisional round and we play a good divisional round game but don't make it to the NFC Championship, or like does this team have to go to the NFC Championship? Just super quick, since you brought it up.
They have to.
Okay, they have to go to the NFC Championship.
It
I mean,
is
I said it before the
it is
season.
their
So
potential. I mean, they have played to that potential, and I think it would be a disappointment because of how well they have played this season.
Coop says defense is based on philosophy. Think about it. But just throw it out there. Quinn, Robert Saleh, Ken Norton, and Chris Richard were all on the 2013 Seahawks coaching staff. Yeah, but we had Chris Richard here, and he couldn't do what Dan Quinn has done. So I understand what you're saying. And again, the philosophy is different, right? Dan Quinn is not running this 2013 Seahawks defense. That was very heavy cover 3 zone, which is kind of what we thought we were going to get this year. And it's been manned like a 70% of the time or something like that.
I think for because my answer kind of segues out of that. I'd keep DQ. And I think over time, and maybe it's just because I've had more to see with him, I have more to grow on or to look at his growth. But there's something to be said in the in leadership in general, but in the league. The Cowboys have finally put together a couple of drafts where their personnel has been good, right? But really what coaching about is not coming in and being like, look, guys, I ran the cover 3 zone and we are going to, ride that to the championship. DQ sat down and said, man, what pieces we got?
Right.
Okay. Well, what does that guy do? What does that guy do? What does that guy do? And then, it's one thing to scheme it all up, right? Because we've all done that on Madden, right? Like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna get this guy and I'm gonna get this speed and we're gonna do this and we're gonna run it. But like to go out there and execute it, and not only that, being flexible week to week, and making sure that that philosophy not only meets the matchup where you need it to, but that you push the right buttons with the personnel that's going on the field. Dan Quinn has shown like a masterful just ownership of his personnel, the game plan, and just the buy-in from the team. I think that dude he's holding a lot more together than maybe he's getting credit for. And I mean, again, shout out to McCarthy for enabling and empowering people there, and not having so much of an ego that you're trying to get in the way or anything like that. But I mean, DQ is the guy that I'm keeping. There's no slight to Kellen Moore. I know great offense is good. Coops, next comment if you want to bring it up there, with the aggressive OCs, Leftwich, Bieniemy, Doug Peterson gets the nod, there. I mean, I feel that. I get the idea, great creativity on the offensive side of the ball means a lot, especially in the postseason. But I'm keeping DQ if you make me choose.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm pretty well lined up with you there. We'll run through the last couple of these chats here, give any final thoughts, and then get ready to get on out of here. Yep, Josh, the same reason all the New England DCs are let go, but they keep paying McDaniels.
Yeah, well, there's always someone at the bottom of the AFC that's trying to get a job, right?
Well, and let's not pretend like the head coach in New England isn't one of the greatest defensive coaches of all time, right? Like let's just take that into account and not just say on its surface, hey, they never paid.
They're all dead. They're all let go. Yeah, like, okay, they're all getting promoted, bro.
Yeah, right. And they all have a Bill Belichick. So, okay. So Megan's clarifying a little bit. No excuse to be not to be at least NFC champs.
Feel that.
Says you might not beat Brady in the bowl, but she meant championship.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe the Bucs are going to get to the NFC Championship. I don't know.
Maybe
they're banged up. Maybe they don't have their full strength. And I hate Tom Brady, so
Yeah, there you go.
Astute analysis from
Mhm.
my
As
expert
always.
from
As
my
always.
expert self. Yeah, I think I'm good on that note, man. You got anything else to bring before the people before
Nah,
we boogie on out of here?
that was excellent discussion. Definitely love all the interaction in the chat. That's very nice. Hopefully we can keep that going into the playoffs. But nah, I think that's it. Cowboys rolling, fireworks rolling. Um, NFC Championship, here we come.
That's a big bet. Coop, if you ever use this hashtag again, I'm gonna remove you from the room. Um,
Oh god.
AFAB out,
Don't
peeps.
worry, Coop. I can keep you in. Don't worry.
Appreciate the discussion, y'all. We'll holler at y'all later. Have a good evening. Looking forward to another Cowboys win on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, Daniel. See y'all next year. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yeah, boy.